She had everything: beauty, wealth, love that made other women whisper, "God, when?" But on the day she walked into her own bedroom, that was the day Sharon's perfect life ended. Don't blink, because what happened next will leave you breathless. Sharon was the pride of Port Harcourt, stylish, confident, and adored wherever she went. Eric was her dream come true, a young, successful man with charm that filled a room. From their first date, they were inseparable. He proposed under city lights, slipped a diamond ring onto her trembling finger, and promised her forever. Their wedding was pure magic. Laughter, luxury, and love that felt eternal. They became the Instagram couple. Matching outfits, vacations, fine dining, endless smiles. And behind closed doors, their passion burned bright. They truly believed nothing could break them. But love is never immune to life. Then came the news. Sharon was pregnant. Eric's joy was overwhelming. But soon, Sharon's world shifted. Morning sickness, fatigue, sleepless nights. The makeup stopped. The laughter faded. Eric still loved her, but something inside him changed. The spark dimmed. The distance grew. To make things easier, Sharon got help from a family member, an older woman named Mama Peace. She came only 3 times a week to clean and cook. Mature, respectful, calm. Sharon trusted her completely. But what she didn't know was that this woman's shadow would soon swallow her light. Eric worked from home. Mama Peace worked quietly around him. It started with polite smiles, then laughter, then a touch that lingered too long. Temptation slipped in like smoke, quiet, invisible, deadly. Surprisingly, Eric started ignoring Sharon's calls. Mama Peace stayed longer than necessary. They both knew it was wrong. But loneliness and lust don't ask for permission. And so, they crossed the line. Sharon, exhausted and trusting, still believed she had the perfect marriage. She smiled in the mirror, whispering, "He loves me." But love was no longer in that house. Only secrets. Sharon had built a world that seemed untouchable, a thriving career, a beautiful home in Port Harcourt, and the promise of a child with her husband, Eric. Her only remaining family tie was to her older sister, Mama Peace, whose arrival was meant to bring comfort and support. The smooth facade of Sharon's life begins to crack on a dark, rainy evening. She returns home early from her weekly antenatal visit, only to be met by a disquieting stillness. Entering her own bedroom, a single flash of lightning illuminates the room that instantly contorts Sharon's face in heartbreak, the ultimate, agonizing betrayal visible on her luxury bed. The shock is so absolute that for a moment, the world freezes. Eric jumps up, consumed by panic and shame, his weak protest drowned out by the downpour. Mama Peace covers her face, her shame a silent acknowledgement of the unforgivable sin. The frozen moment shatters as Sharon screams in agony, tears falling, the sound tearing through the house. Her despair quickly morphs into a primal wild rage, causing her to lunge forward. Eric, desperate to contain the disaster, grabs her arm, sparking a chaotic struggle that brings the entire household to a standstill. In a raw burst of pain, Sharon viciously bites Eric's restraining hand, drawing blood, a desperate attempt to break free from the man who betrayed her. The sound of the struggle draws neighbors rushing in, their faces etched with shock as they witness the intimate ruin. Overwhelmed, Sharon's fight gives way to exhaustion, and she collapses on the floor, sobbing. Seeing the complete destruction wrought by her presence, Mama Peace, soaked in the rain, runs out in shame, vanishing into the night, carrying the full burden of her guilt. Sharon, determined to reclaim her dignity, gathers what little she can. Still in the downpour, she is seen dragging her suitcase, her face streaked with tears and rain as she leaves her former life behind. Eric watches from the window, powerless and consumed by regret, his bleeding hand a physical symbol of the wound she inflicted and the one he caused. Mama Peace is now crying alone in a small dark room, the shame of her actions isolating her entirely. Sharon sits in a taxi, staring out into the endless rain, the tears blurring with the water on the glass, seeking only distance. The moment of finality arrives as Sharon removes her wedding ring, placing it deliberately on a table, severing the last physical tie to Eric. Back in the abandoned matrimonial home, the empty, unmade bed lies as a stark, unforgiving symbol of betrayal. Eric is a ruin. He sits alone in the living room, his bandaged, bloodied hand reflecting his despair. Meanwhile, Sharon seeks solace with her family, crying in silence at her mother's house, the tears a quiet expression of loss she can no longer hide. A shift begins to occur. While Eric descends further into self-destruction, throwing an empty bottle at the wall in a violent burst of frustration, Sharon finds her anchor. The turning point is her unborn child. Sharon holds her belly, feeling the life within her, and whispers to her unborn child, realizing her peace matters more than his regret. As the final sunrise breaks, washing away the darkness of the past, Sharon walks with a baby stroller, alone but radiating strength and peace. She has chosen the path of self-worth, walking into a future where her strength is the only promise she needs. Today, Sharon walks with her head high. She no longer chases perfection. She chooses peace. Because behind every God-when story, there's a God forbid story waiting to be told. If you were Sharon, would you forgive him? Or walk away forever? Subscribe for more real-life stories that will leave you speechless.